Hello. We're very happy to have you here. We'll start very shortly. Just make sure that everyone have a chance to join. So I appreciate your patience. Hello, everyone. Shortly, we'll be starting. Just let's wait 2 more minutes that everyone interested can join. Okay, so there is already quite plenty of you, dear participants. So we'll be starting shortly. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Smarter Tools, Stronger Brand, How to Simplify Asset Management. My name is Olga Lany, and I'm the PR and Partnership Manager at Admind Branding and Communications. Okay, 1 more minute to let everyone join, so please get comfortable. I'm so excited to have you here today as we dive into one of the most important and sometimes frustrating aspects of brand management, keeping all your brand assets organized and accessible. But before we start, a quick disclaimer. I'm currently in the Indian jungle, so it's a fantastic place to be, but the electricity here isn't exactly reliable. So if I suddenly disappear, don't panic. It's just a power cut, like everyday thing. And my amazing colleague Pavzhinets is on standby and will step in if needed. So no matter what happens, the show will go on. So please don't worry. So before we actually start, a quick reminder, you can submit your questions at any time in the Q&A sections throughout the whole meeting. And we'll do our best to answer as many as possible at the end of this session. So you can submit them anytime, and we'll be happy to address them later. And as you probably can see, the meeting is recorded. So hopefully, if nothing bad happens, we'll be able to share the recording with you just after that live session. So you get the notices. So before we dive deeper, let me quickly introduce the 2 companies behind today's session. So it's Admind and Frontify, and why we are so excited to be discussing this topic together. So Admind, as the largest independent branding agency in Central Europe, specializes in building and managing brand portals for usually global organizations. We've created countless brand portals that help companies organize their assets, ensure brand consistency, and to improve collaborations across teams. And we know, I hope we know, the challenges of brand management inside and out, and we also know the solutions that work best. And Frontify, a leading brand management platform, provide businesses with the tools that centralize, organize, and distribute brand assets efficiently. So that's very intuitive platform It ensures the teams always have access to the right files and the latest versions and clear guidelines all in one place. They make sure you never had to dig through endless folders looking for final underscored version 2, real underscore final. So what's on agenda today? We'll be covering a few key topics. So we'll talk about what brand portals and DAM, so digital asset management systems, are and how do they differ. The biggest brand management challenges companies face and why or if centralizing asset makes your life easier, and hopefully some real life examples thanks to Frontify. So I think we can start for real. So just let me introduce our guest. So there is Rikard Norrbin here with us, Senior Partner Manager at Frontify with more than 18 years of experience in branding and marketing, including roles at Microsoft and Electronic Arts. Rikard has helped countless businesses optimize their brands management strategies. If anyone knows how to make brand assets easy to find and use them, it's him. We're very happy to have you here, Rikard. Hello.
Hello.
And
Hello to everyone.
And there is Iza Czyż, brand portal team lead at AdMind. She's a true brand portal expert. She has worked with global organizations to build high-performing brand portals that ensure brand consistency and operation efficiency. So she'll bring insights from an agency perspective, what works, what doesn't, and how to get the most out of brand assets. So welcome, Iza. Thank you both for joining us today.
Hey.
So actually, I'm in India. Rikard, where are you based right now?
I'm in Sweden, in Stockholm.
Okay. Iza, you are somewhere else as well, as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm in Estonia, so Team North also as
Okay.
Rikard.
So we're very happy to have you here in and to have the chance to meet. And it doesn't matter that we are 1,000 kilometers from each other. I love Zoom actually. So we start before we start the actual discussion. I would like to set the scene a bit. So imagine your CEO comes to you and says, I need the latest version of our logo right now. Where do you look? Your inbox, a shared folder, that one mysterious folder on your desktop labeled as I already mentioned, like final underscore version 2 underscore real something. I'm sure it sounds familiar. Trust me, you're not alone. Oh, my marketing folder, branding. Let's see if it really works. So, so before we start the actual discussions, we prepared some very short poll for everyone. It's totally anonymous. So please share your answers. And Wawrzek, I would love you to start the poll. Okay, so please, everyone who wants answer, what are your brand management pain points? You can choose as many answers as you want, and we will see the results in 2 minutes. As I said, it's totally anonymous. We won't see the answers coming from the specific person, so don't worry. Let's wait 1 more minute. and we'll share the results very shortly. Okay, if you are all guys ready, we cannot vote. As a panelist, so it's all on yours. So let's see the results. I'm really curious. Okay, let's see. The most answered, do I need approval to use certain assets? The second place goes to finding assets quickly. And then lack of integration with other tools. And then which version of the file is the latest? Okay, and then complicated licensing and GDPR compliance. So actually, guys, if any of the answers wasn't shown at the poll, and you have some other ideas and you would love to share them or address the specific question, please submit it in the Q&A section at any time. So, Rikard, Iza, are you surprised with the results? Like, did you expect that?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm a bit surprised because I would say that finding the most updated version of the file would be the winner here.
Okay.
But yeah, it also gives us a nice perspective. Probably the audience knows already something about digital asset management and have some systems in place. So that's really interesting. So we can also filter further discussion basing on this.
Okay, Rikard, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was quite evenly.
Yeah.
Also, I guess good options. But it seems like it's, I would say, maybe skewed towards like the end user trying to find assets and use them in the right way, which is interesting. There was a few options there, maybe skewed towards more managers of assets and so on, that it's maybe more features that those people would require and need. So it's interesting to see that it's a lot of people here struggling with very common pain points, like just finding the right asset quickly. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
That's really interesting. We'll have a chance to dive deeper into that challenges questions. So actually, but I would like to make a small step back and start with the basics. Actually, we probably can imagine from that poll that some of you know the tools, but maybe it's good to start with it anyway. So, Iza, could you please explain what exactly is a brand portal and what is DAM and how do they differ? And yes, please, let's start with the basics.
Yeah, sure. Let me break it down for you, because sometimes I have this feeling that the vocabulary around digital asset management is pretty vague and confusing, especially if you are not familiar with this topic. So all those phrases might blend together. So brand portal is a centralized hub that consists of brand guidelines, all the instructions or manuals that are describing what is the brand, how it operates, what are the values, and what is the brand promise. You can find the information on how to use the logo, how to use typography, what style of imagery we should use in this brand. So it's more like a part based on the knowledge about the brand. It's more educational thing where you go to the page and it's accessible for everyone in the company. You always know where to find information about the brand. And there is this second big key element, which is, as you mentioned, digital asset management system. This is more dynamic tool that allow users to browse through the asset library, find the files that they need to produce anything that look like certain brand. So you can search, filter based on the ready templates. And of course, what we can find there, it depends also on the needs that your company have. It can be basic brand elements such as logo in different format, or font for different language versions, or just imagery, pictograms, illustrations. There can be really a lot of assets, but also what we always encourage our clients to do is also prepare those ready-made assets that are ready to use. You just download them and you are sure that they are on brand and you are allowed to use it. And for example, what could it be? For example, like email banners for certain campaigns. So you just download it and you use it. Or yeah, Microsoft Teams background, also ready-made, you can use it. But also just simple things like a badge or business card. So what we do really believe in AdMind, at least, is to combine those two key elements, which is brand portal, this knowledge base about the brand, and this dynamic tool, the library, where everyone can just search and use the assets for different purposes. And of course, we should design it in a way that it's also easy to use for different kind of users, like for advanced users, graphic designers, or marketing teams, but also for, I would call it, standard users. So the users that might use this tool only once in, I don't know, a few weeks or something, just to download the email banner, for example, a recent email banner. So yeah, it should be learnable, user friendly, and quite easy for different types of users. So yeah, just to sum it up, I think this quite universal setup will work both for smaller and bigger companies.
Oh, that was my next question, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it depends, of course, on not only on how big the company is, but also what are the needs there. It's pretty complex topic, but yeah, I do really believe that those two things are working really good in efficient utilizing the brand for the companies. Yeah, but I believe that Rikard will also show us a bit later how it looks like on live organisms. So maybe then it will be also easier to see and understand how it works.
Yeah, actually, Rikard, would you like to add anything to what Iza said? What's the biggest advantage of centralizing the brand assets from your perspective?
Yeah, I agree with everything, of course, that Isabella said. Of course, at Frontify, since we provide a whole brand building platform, of course, brand portal and DAM and other functionalities is part of our solution. So sometimes we trying to keep it all together because it's this the challenge we see a lot is that a lot of organizations don't have this single source of truth for the brand. The brand is scattered across their organization, and the ownership of those different contents could fluctuate, and it's not very clear, and this creates a lot of inefficiencies and confusion, and in the end it's the brand equity that suffers when the consistency is not there. So that is of course something we see a lot in these cases.
So could we actually see that in action, like how it actually works? Could you share us some demo, like live example of what we are talking about?
Yes. So I'll do like this and close everything down and share my screen like this. Now you see
Yes.
everything here. So
Yes.
what I thought then I could do is just show you a few live examples of different portals, which is usually the starting point for most people when they want to interact and understand more about the brand. This is TikTok, tiktokbrandbook.com. You could all go here. This is publicly available, and this is for everyone to kind of start getting an idea of the TikTok brand. So I can go in here, get some design ideas, concepts, etc. directly in here. But of course, I can also then jump in and start, diving into some visual identity details. So for example, my logo, my color, my typography, these kind of things. And here I can, of course, maybe while I'm reading about these, download these things that I'm reading about and then see how this should be used when I co-brand with TikTok and so on. TikTok is, of course, a huge brand. So what you see here and what you would have access to if you go here, it's a very small part of the TikTok brand, because the benefit of this is, of course, if I want to deep dive into this and get access to more content, I can always then log into their brand portal. And here I can either log in with SSO or more kind of an email and password. I can even request access. And the beauty now is once I log in, now the experience of the brand can be customized to me individually. So if I'm based in Sweden, maybe some content and some assets are more relevant and I should actually only have access to those, while someone in India, maybe working in another function, should have access to other things. And that we see is quite critical to really increase brand engagement. Because if it becomes too much of everything, it gets confusing. And I may just think this takes too much of my time and effort to understand what all of this is and how that is relevant to me. Just to kind of show you a few different examples. So this is Audi. So I can go in here. They have more of a branding video directly to kind of set the tone and so on. But directly from here, I can jump in and I can, for example, read about the rings, the Audi rings that I can access them here. I can see some best practices of how these rings are being.
So Rikard, sorry to interrupt, is that Audi brand book also publicly visible?
Yes. Yeah. So they call it styleguide.audi.com.
Yeah.
You can also go there and find it. And I'm just showing you a few different examples because each brand is different. Each brand is unique. They have their own maturity, their own organizations, their own structures. And a brand portal should be agile enough to be able to reflect that, of course. So in this case, here you have some vision and brand promise and value propositions and so on. You have some basic visual identity, maybe with some tone of voice, but you also have some, photography and motion, for example, more brand expression, so best practice sharing for me to understand, where I also then can start downloading and finding different assets here at the same time. So just different kind of examples on how this could look. And of course, a brand is wide. It's a lot of different things. So what I also want to point out is brands, that we see a big trend is they moving maybe more from an offline kind of world, the older world, to becoming more and more digital. And of course, this put a lot of new requirement on the brand team. So for example, here, maybe what I need to make sure is that my brand is compliant when it comes to my buttons across my different web pages, for example. And in this case, I can see how they look for, in this case, Telefonica, they have a lot of different sub-brands, and I can then play around and I can see how does my secondary logo look like for O2, and so on. And I can, of course, jump in and I can actually access the code directly as well if I need to now start working with this. I'm also want to show you different examples, because Ventura, this is more of an example of a corporate brand, more of a group brand. And it has its own kind of architecture with content where I have different things, documented. And here, maybe I want to go in and read a little bit about my visual identity, because in this case, maybe I need to understand, what are our different kind of imagery and photography styles. I can go in and I can see and get some context around all the different assets. Of course, directly from here, I could jump in and direct the user into the specific imagery. But in this case, they have just basically settled with showing how this should be used. But if I then jump in and, for example, look for different imagery here, this is when I now inside the DAM part of Frontify. And as you can see, I have over 10,000 assets in here. And this could be, of course, overwhelming for me as a user. How will I find the right one? And of course, this is where you have, for example, filter functionality. So I know I'm looking for more of a brand image around the Earth topic in a JPEG, maybe in a square format or something. And suddenly I'm from 10,000 assets down to 2. And of course, this could be combined with a simple search as well. So if I add that search term as well, I basically have drilled it down to the most accurate image for me to use. I can go in, I can download in the different sizes, etc., to find it. I just want to show that the use case, of course, even with assets, is huge as well. And now I showed some imagery. You have documents, you have logos, but maybe also icons. So I just want to show you how that could work. So it works very similar. I have a lot of hundreds of different assets here, but I knowing I'm looking maybe for an arrow, and I say it's this one. What I can now do, since my DAM is connected to my guideline and my portal, I can, for example, change this to a certain file format with a different size. And now I can connect it to my brand colors and allow my user to choose the right icon in the right file format, right colors, and download it and start using it, for example. So there's a lot of different things that you could do here. I want to also talk about the last part of Frontify before I'm done with, I would say, this more demo of our platform. It's something called templates. because a lot of times you may go into a dam looking for exactly the right asset that you can just use. You heard social media, the latest campaign assets, and they're good to go. But a lot of times, maybe you want to personalize this or localize this for your market. It feels a little bit too global or a little bit too whatever, and you are now want to do that yourself. So this could be a lot of different digital, social media, print things. So I'll just take a flyer example in this case. So someone then says, this is a flyer, this is how it should look like, and I now want to localize this for myself. So what I now can do, I can go in here and of course say, I want to create an event here, and then I want to say, welcome everyone. And since this is customized to me, I can now choose different assets that have been defined and said you can choose to use these. In this case, I can even upload my own image. Maybe I should use something like this instead. In this case, I could even crop it and fix this out. The thing with templates is you set this as a designer most likely, and then you say how flexible they should be in this. So I say join us. And this is a 2-page leaflet. It's a front and back. But now I would say I'm done with this. I can now choose to download it in different file formats. So I choose a PDF and I download it. Or I could even send it for an approval for a design team to have a final check and control before I'm actually allowed to download and start using this. So it's an example on how the brand portal with the DAM could really now put an organization in place to really speed up workflows and asset creation on a bigger scale very quickly once they have the basics in place.
This is great and so inspiring. Thank you for showing all of these examples. It will really hopefully help to not only imagine it, but actually see how it can work. And I'm very happy that we already have a few very interesting questions. So please be patient. We will address them very shortly. We are getting to the second part of our meeting, and then we'll get back to you guys with all your questions. So please, if anyone else would like to ask anything, use the Q&A section. So Rikard, I imagine this what you actually shared works very good with the huge companies, but how can like smaller companies adapt to this?
Yeah, and as Isabel said, as we see it, it's probably not the size of your company or organization that really is of importance here. It is, of course, how brand driven and how important is it to have that brand consistent across. So Frontify, if I'm talking our platform now, we are a very scalable solution. So you saw a lot of different functionalities and different products within our platform. With Frontify, you could choose to start if you're still having a PDF with your guidelines. Maybe that's the start where you need to digitalize that, and that's fine. And then once that is in place, you can take the next step of organizing your assets instead, etc. So it's not like you need to jump in all at once as well. And our whole commercial module is also based on actual users that are using the solution. So it's not like you need to buy a huge solution that does that where you just use a very little part. So that's the whole point with Frontify.
But also, if I can add one thing, because I totally
Sure.
agree, with you, Rikard. But the second thing that sometimes we forget is, if it comes to costs, it should be also seen as an investment, because I think maybe quite often people think about brand portals and dams as just a storage space, but it's not only storage space. It's just dynamic tool that will boost the efficiency of internal teams, but not only of internal teams, but also external agencies or partners. So it's also good to keep it in mind that it's really worth considering investing in this kind of solutions.
Thank you both.
Just to add that.
Sure, of course, Rikard.
Frontify, we have over 10,000 brands being managed on our platform today. Over 1,000 of them are large enterprise clients, but then that shows as well that we have a lot of smaller brands on our platform as well. And of course, none of our clients would invest in Frontify if they can't have a good ROI on this. So of course, the efficiencies, all the kind of bottlenecks, inconsistencies, and of course, these requests that people need to spend a lot of time to find the right asset. How should I use this asset? And so on. That is, of course, what Frontify will save cost in the end.
Thank you, guys. The time is flying so fast, and we have already so many questions. So I will speed up a little bit, and let's go to the discussion about the automation, actually. What are the most impactful automation features that brand management platform could bring? Rikard, could you please tell a bit about it?
Yeah, I would say it's a lot of different automatizations that comes with it. So once you have something in place and it's documented, there's a lot of possibilities now to automate things, right? If I just take the first example with the template you saw me doing now, that was manually me going in and adjusting. Of course, this could be connected to an external CSV or an Excel file or whatever, where this can be automized, and I can quickly generate, hundreds of different assets within seconds if that's the use case that I'm having. And this is, of course, automizing and speeding things up significantly. So that's just one example. But with AI coming now, I don't know if now is the time to talk AI, if we're going to talk that more later. But with that, of course, you have a lot of possibilities as well to kind of create things more quickly. One functionality, for example, that we have on our platform now, I saw that someone asked a little bit about search. So we have a search capability, searching both assets, as you saw, but also content within guidelines and so on. But that is the current way most people are searching. But now with ChatGPT and other, conversational AI coming, myself, I start moving away from Google search and so on. I'm moving more to AI, ChatGPT, and doing my searches with that, because that feels more natural. And that is what we have on our platform as well. So we have a brand assistant, we call it. Call it a conversational AI that is trained on your portal, that can guide me in, I'm new here, I'm trying to create an event. Is it any guidance I should think of here? And then it kind of gives me that and linking me to what part of this portal that it's been trained on. And then I can always then tell them that, you know, I'm what is the exact asset that I should be using at the event, and then it can kind of give me that as well. So it's much more of a conversational, more interactive search in a way. So it's just a few of these things that can be optimized and streamlined and help out once you have things in place.
Thank you. So if you want to dive deeper into this, you can submit your questions, and we're still waiting for them. And in a few minutes, we'll try to answer some, or maybe all of them. We'll see. So Iza, how can actually organizations automate workflows to personalize customer experience?
Yeah, so there are also ways that we can automate some processes outside of the software. I mean, of course, it's very important to use all the features that are given and that are useful for us, but there are also ways to automate some other things outside of the tool. And I think here, I think quite important topic, which is also sometimes forgotten, is licensing and GDPR, because yeah, well, of course, if we don't have this information in the tool, in the system, then there is this risk that people will be using the assets that are not really allowed to use. And it can bring, yeah, this danger of penalties and so on, especially that we are, yeah, based in Europe, so it's highly restricted. So this is also something that we try to highlight to our clients and also spread this knowledge around, that it should be really taken care of. And those you know, automated audits should be there, so we don't really have to go in the library and check it one by one. Is it still allowed to use this one? Or sometimes if we have a photo shoot of employees and they are leaving the company and they you know, they want to remove the image from the library, you also have to have a system for this. And because there is a GDPR and we can't really store everything in the system, all those personal information, we also have to find a way how to do it outside of the system and really take care of it. And yeah, I think maybe it's not so popular topic or attractive topic, but I think it's still very important to have it sorted out, because it can really bring not so pleasant consequences there. So I also wanted to highlight it. And yeah, second thing is automating processes of reusing the assets. So to have those audits based on the statistics that are giving us some insights on how to create the assets in the future, so they are engaging. And I know that Frontify already has quite advanced statistics dashboard, and probably they're also working on developing it even more. But it's also good to have it on the agency side to analyze it and basing on those statistics, just improving the whole strategy inside the company.
Thank you. So we're prepared for a second poll for you, but as I said, the time flies much too fast, and I think if you agree with me, guys, we will skip that and go to the questions, because there is really a few very interesting ones. So there is a question from Krzysztof. It is used to think that DAM portals are associated with corporations and therefore are expensive. You actually covered that a little bit, but maybe it's worth pointing out again. And therefore are expensive and complicated to implement in organization. Where is my question? It disappeared. Wait. I think that question just disappeared from.
It went to answered here.
Okay.
I think we touched based on it a lot.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, expensive is always relative, right? Like what is expensive? I don't know if it's a figure in mind here, but of course, it's how expensive is it to not have something like this in place, and how much does that cost you? Of course, as I said as well, it's a scalable solution. So if you are a small organization with a small use case, it doesn't have you're not paying the same as organization that is global with 20 different brands with hundreds of thousands of employees. There's of course a scaling involved here as well. But yeah, I don't know if that.
Yeah, I think that was actually the questions we couldn't finish. It somehow disappeared. I don't know how. Thank you, Rikard. Let's move on. How can I use Frontify to distribute brand assets to media while creating a PR campaign?
Yeah, so with Frontify, it's a very simple solution actually to build up and create. So if you have a specific use case where you have a campaign currently with journalists or media that needs to access certain, there's different ways of how to do that. If you already have those assets in your DAM, you could just create a collection, we call it, by one click. And then you can share that collection with external people by a link. You can password protect it. You can set expiry notification dates on it and so on. And you could just share that link to everyone that should have access to these assets. If you want to make it a little bit more sophisticated, we see that a lot of our clients maybe build a little bit of a PR press site or something like that, where they again give an introduction into what is this about, why are you here, here are the assets that you can browse and use basically. So yes, we have use cases where Frontify is used as the official press website basically, right? Yeah.
Thank you. So let's move on. Can the system archive my past campaigns and materials?
Yes. So with Frontify, it's a solution. So we usually sometimes talk about front end and back end.
Yes.
Just to simplify it, front end is usually a place where a user goes in to consume and download things. The back end is usually where admin people sit and manage all the rights and other things for these assets. And of course, you can then control what assets should be viewable, accessible in the front end. So if you have certain assets that, for example, a license expires, you can actually set this up for the system to automatically pull those from the front end, notify all the users that have downloaded this, saying in 14 days, this asset will expire. Please stop using it if you do, and so on. So there is possibility to archive and so on.
Yes.
And you can easily duplicate content and basically then create a new version and then archive the old version, and you can basically store it as static and make it not accessible for others than maybe a certain admins that should be able to go back and access it at certain times.
And also something that we were doing for one client in Frontify was that we were changing the access level for those files, so only the admins could see those files. I think it's also worth mentioning that in Frontify you can have those different levels, so you can also specify which file is visible for who, not only for archiving the files, but in general you can decide who is seeing what. So it's also really nice way to decide. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on again. Oh, there is a tricky one. How Frontify is better than Binder or Wider?
Okay, I guess that's why then in here.
Yeah, yes, there is a mistake there.
I would say both these Binder and Widen, as I see it, I would call them DAM solutions. So they are DAM first. They're good DAM solutions, so I'm not going to talk bad about anyone here. I would say what differs Frontify from them is ease of use. And anyone can use it. You can put these assets in a bigger context. You have another customization possibility on Frontify, I would say, so you can make it much more branded and make it more scalable and agile when new use cases come. For example, you adding more brands, you have a brand architecture. DAM first solutions are very much usually one brand only, and then it's very complicated to add to that and adjust it. With Frontify and our brand portal first, it's very easy to build up these different use cases and link them together. So yeah, scalability, personalization, customization, and ease of use, I would say, is what differs us.
Great, thanks. So there is another very interesting one. I hope we will be able to answer all of them, but let's see. Is there a way to gain visibility into how different team members are using the brand portal and specific brand assets? Is there an analytical system in place?
Yeah. Great question. And I think this is very important. So yes, Frontify has an analytic dashboard built in our system. And you can see a lot of different things in there. So you can see what teams, what countries are in and are using it. You can see what guidelines, what pages they are viewing and consuming. You can, of course, also see what assets they're looking at, what assets they're downloading. You can see if your assets are hosted somewhere else on different websites. You can see that. And I think maybe the most important or most interesting is you can see what people are searching for, and you can see what people are searching for and don't find. So that is a very good way of like improving your portal over time by realizing we're having this summer search, everyone's searching for something summary, and we don't have it, or maybe we have it, but we haven't tagged it correctly, or the metadata is not used in the right way. But maybe we need to create a summer campaign or summer images to cater to all these searches that we see that we are missing currently. So yeah, you have a lot of analytic possibilities on our platform.
Okay, great. I think we need to move on to some wrapping. And could you guys please just share some summaries, maybe in points, the benefits of brand portals, like very in brief. We have a few more minutes. Just a reminder, we will try to send the recording of this meeting to every one of you, so we'll have a chance to get back to these questions or some challenges you all have. And if you would like to learn more, we will also be sharing some additional resources soon after the meeting. So Could you just try to sum up? Would you like to start, Iza?
Okay, yeah, I will start. So yeah, just from my perspective, I think it's good to remember that yeah, it's good to have those two key elements, brand portals and DAM systems. And as Rikard presented, this templates features looks really good. But also, as we discussed before, it's not necessary to start with everything. If you don't have anything in place, just start with the guidelines online and see how it goes, how it improves. If you need this cost-effective solution, I think it's the best way to start just with the guidelines and maybe few download buttons, and then see how it works. But yeah, let's start to think about it and plan it, because without this, there will be still mess, and people will be just wasting time, seeking for approvals or trying to find the right assets. So I think just starting even small is the most important here.
So I will jump in with another question. What amount of assets users is roughly enough to make using a software like Frontify worth using?
Just one comment from my side. I know it's a question regarding Frontify,
Yeah, but of course you have an experience from our
yeah, just one
perspective.
comment that
Yeah.
it really depends. It really depends on the company and the needs, because sometimes probably the setup that only graphic designers and marketing teams have an access to the tool is efficient enough for some cases. Sometimes where there is more complex structure or needs, everyone has to have an access to this with this SSO setup or something. So it really depends on the needs. Probably there are many scenarios that it would work. But yeah, just first you should try to find those biggest pain points and try to address it. And then there are many various scenarios how to create the setup for a certain company. But yeah, also maybe Rikard, you can say something from your perspective and Frontify options.
Yeah, no, we have clients with, hundreds of thousands of users, but we also have clients that are basically single person companies. So it's everything in between. So again, I don't think it is about the size of your company that is the most important. It is how important is the brand for you, and how will you be able to engage the people behind the brand? Because at Frontify, we believe that the true power of the brand lies in the people behind the brand. So you need to be able to engage and make it easy and fun to engage with the brand. If it's not, people will stay away. Even if most people probably love your brand that they're working for, they love it. But if it becomes too cumbersome, boring, time consuming, they won't engage. We are humans in that way. And I maybe want to start like summarize with the agility paradox. I think it's a great quote that I have here, which says that the key factor differentiating top performing brands is agility, the ability to remain true to the brand while adapting to a rapidly evolving environment. I think that is kind of the key. The world is moving fast, it's changing every day. And if you are a brand and you need to be relevant all the time in all channels, in all different teams and touch points, you need to be able to move in that speed. And I believe if you're sitting in an old way of working where no one really wants to, and it takes too much time that no one wants to get involved in that, you will lose out in the long run, and your brand is the ones that is suffering from it. So
That's true.
and that, I think, is the real cost involved here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to finish. Thank you, like a really huge thank to you, Rikard and Iza, for sharing all the insights, and to all of you for joining us today. And if you didn't get to if we didn't get to your questions, don't worry. You can like follow up after the session. You know where to find us. And as I mentioned before, if you'd like to learn more, and we'll be sharing additional resources and the recording of this session soon. And thank you again, and stay tuned, and see you at the next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.